So my husband and I have known each other for 6 years, married for 3. We have a 2-year-old daughter. She is amazing. When we met, I told my husband I was a romantic asexual. He did not believe me, as we had intimacy somewhat frequently, and I wanted and liked having intimacy with him. I tried to explain that being asexual just means I don't normally have any urge to have intimacy. But I'm not aromantic. My romantic feelings for him made me want to have intimacy with him because I wanted to please him, and he was genuinely good at pleasing me. So time goes on, we get married, have a kiddo, get a house and a dog, whole middle-class shebang. We start to have intimacy less. Part of it was me being pregnant, and having a newborn just nerfed my libido. But we still were intimate like once a week-ish when we could be. About a year ago, my husband says that he would like to do pee play, which it's not my cup of tea, but I didn't mind much. Not long after this, he says he's actually into a lot more than pee. Basically, think every bodily fluid except blood. This is less than ideal for me. Like, pee is one thing, but any other bodily excretion is pretty gross and uncomfortable. I still try to acquiesce to these requests, but I don't want to be involved physically after. Like, zero want to have intimacy. Originally, it would be a once-in-a-while thing for birthdays or special days. Then it just became a more and more frequent request. I don't even like having intimacy now because it's going to go all weird. Also, my husband started ridiculing me, that I didn't like anything sexually, or that my intimacy tastes are vanilla. I mean, maybe? It's not an insult I'm used to. Before we met, I had partners who gave me rave reviews, but they weren't into all this. It was just your normal foreplay, toys, different positions, oral, occasional butt stuff, bondage, run-of-the-mill, sexy stuff. I guess that's vanilla, but I'll be vanilla if I don't have to deal with bodily fluids on the regular. To try and placate the situation, I started taking videos of me doing things he liked. That way I didn't have to be involved directly. I thought this would help, but not long ago, I found messages on his phone to 2 women online that I believe he knew in some capacity. These messages were flirtatious and asking for videos, but both women pretty much turned him down and talked about their current lives. They were married with kids, too. I was devastated finding these. It's really affected my feelings for him and my libido. It's effectively zero. In the same week, found out I'm pregnant with our second child. I'm pro-choice, but this isn't a situation I would personally get in baby unaliving for. He was unhappy with this as well and feels it should be a 2-person decision, and I'm forcing him to have another kid eye roll. Like, no, if he got to decide what happens, then I would have my choice taken away. Once you get someone pregnant, it's ultimately their choice. All this to say, like, what the heck do I do? Is this savable? And I make pretty good money and could afford to leave, but it'd be tight with 2 kids and no second income. I don't know if I should just toss this whole 6 years down the drain. I'm pregs, and I do love him still, but I just can't get over the betrayal and the fact that I feel like I've been bamboozled into a relationship. I feel like if he was truthful about what he was into earlier, I probably would have found us incompatible. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If you don't leave him now, when you do finally leave him, it won't be 6 years, it'll be 7, 10, 12, 15 years down the drain. You're not compatible, it's just that simple. He's never going to want less of what he wants today, and he's never going to want to stop talking to other women, which he's managed to do while also performing as a father, husband, employee, and the love interest of 2 other women whom he's actively trying to manipulate into sending him explicit pictures and videos to add to the already piles of free stuff he collects online. It's going to be hard, but it could be harder the longer you wait. Weigh your options and keep the evidence of him cheating. It may come in handy during the divorce proceedings. X. Comment 2. What? No, this is over. I'm so sorry. Cut your losses, get some therapy, and go. Someone calling you names, even something like referring to you as vanilla IT S insulting, because they're into some extremely weird shoot, is not okay. He has a very odd and specific fetish. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. He's the one with the problems here. Just the fact that you tried to roll with his weird shoot makes you a freaking treasure in my opinion. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, the past few days have been pretty hard on us, and not the fun kind. Remember how I mentioned my husband's peculiar tastes and the messages I found on his phone? Well, it turns out one of those women he messaged, let's call her Miss X, didn't take kindly to being ignored after she turned him down. She reached out to me, sent me screenshots of their conversations, and guess what? They were way more explicit than I thought. My stomach turned seeing those words, knowing they were meant for someone else, not his wife. I confronted him, and he tried to lie his way out of it, saying they were old messages, that he was just joking around. But the dates didn't lie, and neither did my gut. It was like a slap in the face, the kind that leaves a mark for days. I was fuming, hurt, and felt like a fool for trying to make things work. Then, as if on cue, our daughter got sick, really sick. We rushed her to the hospital, and it was like the world stopped. All our problems paled in comparison to her lying there, so small and vulnerable. It was a reality check. My husband was there, of course, but the air between us was thick with unspoken words and heavy with betrayal. Thankfully, she got better. But that scare made me realize I couldn't live in a lie, not with my kids in the picture. They deserved a happy, healthy environment, not parents who were constantly at odds. So I did what I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I told him it was over. I couldn't look at him the same way. Couldn't shake the image of his words to Miss X. Couldn't forget the lies. He didn't take it well. He begged, promised to change, to go to therapy, to do anything. But some things can't be unheard, unseen, or unfelt. I was done. I started making arrangements, looking into childcare options for when the new baby arrives, and figuring out finances. It was overwhelming, but I felt a strange sense of relief amidst the chaos. And then, the next bomb dropped. My job, the one thing I thought was stable, announced cutbacks. My position was on the line. Talk about timing, right? I was staring down the barrel of single motherhood, and now this? But I've always been a fighter, and I wasn't about to let this break me. I reached out to my network, updated my resume, and started hustling for opportunities. I wasn't going to be a victim of circumstance. I had kids to think about, a future to secure. And as for my soon-to-be ex-husband, well, he was on his own. So here I am, picking up the pieces, making plans, and trying to stay strong. It's not easy, but I'm doing it one step at a time. Thanks for reading. My husband leaves me with the kids and threatens divorce. But when he comes crawling back, I show him the door and take everything. My husband and I have been married for 5 years. We share 2 kids together, a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old. Our relationship can best be described as toxic. First, let me say, my husband is a loyal guy. He has never cheated, and he, for the most part, is a good father to our kids when he actually is involved. I am a stay-at-home mom, and he works, and a lot of our issues stem from this. He feels that because he works, it is 100% my responsibility to take care of the kids around the clock. It doesn't matter if I'm sick, haven't slept, or need to go to an appointment. It is my job to find a sitter, because he works, so he doesn't have to watch them. He also uses his financial power to tell me that the reason I get no breaks is because I'm low-skilled labor, and only people with real jobs are entitled to time off. Bring on yesterday, I've been sick, and our 7-month-old is also going through his first cold. Well, I woke up a bit crabby and asked if there was any way he could watch the kids for an hour, since I was up most of the night with our son. Of course, he said no, and in turn, I got obviously frustrated, saying that I didn't understand why I can never have an hour to myself, and how it isn't a fair dynamic. Well, this led to me being called every swear word you can think of, a CT, a lazy person. It got worse, and he told me he is so sick of me and my attitude, he wants a divorce, he's never loved me, etc. In response, I said absolutely nothing, just let him run his mouth at me. He then went and gamed for 16 hours straight and left me while sick to take care of 2 sick kids. Now he is trying to spin the narrative as usual, that it's my fault. These episodes happen once a month or so, and are mentally exhausting. It's always him losing his temper, saying horrible things, and then essentially gaslighting me into believing I was the one that caused it all. His justification is that my attitude sucks. After these episodes, within a week, things will settle and we'll be fine. And then it will repeat the next time he essentially feels like it. I never receive an apology ever. I feel so underappreciated and insulted. Of course, there are good times too, but these episodes are just so devastating. It's hard to ever feel safe in our relationship because they are so unpredictable and aggressive. I guess I just want outside thoughts as to if this sounds like I'm overreacting to be hurt by this. I don't want to break apart our young family, but I never saw this growing up. So this is just shocking to me. Update. He approached me this morning and asked me if I was going to apologize. He said I was being annoying yesterday morning. He then proceeded to tell me I'm no one special, and he dreams about the day he can leave me because I'm so annoying to be around. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If someone tells you they are sick of you and they want a divorce, take their word for it. Take the kids and move in with family. Hire a divorce attorney. If he acts shocked by it, remind him that this is what he wanted. Comment 2. He is hurtful. Do you have family you can go to? I would ask for help from family and friends you can trust. Have them help pack you and the kids while he is at work and leave. If he continues to harass you, call the police. Now for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. So, a lot has happened in the past 2 weeks. It's like my life turned into some kind of twisted soap opera. I thought things were bad before, but they've gotten even worse. After that last blow-up, my husband actually left, just packed a bag, and said he needed space. I was left alone, sick, with 2 sick kids. I thought maybe this was rock bottom, but I was wrong. A couple of days later, I got a call from my sister-in-law. She told me my husband had been staying with her and that they'd been talking. She said he'd been planning to leave me for months and that he'd been stashing money away in a separate account. I couldn't believe it. My own sister-in-law knew and didn't say a word to me. I was furious and felt so betrayed. But then, things took an even stranger turn. My mother-in-law called me out of the blue and said she wanted to meet. We'd never been close, but I was desperate for any kind of support. So I agreed. She told me she knew about the money and that she was ashamed of her son. She said she wanted to help me and the kids, that it wasn't right what he was doing to us. I was so confused. Why was she suddenly on my side? But then she dropped a bomb. She told me that my husband had been seeing someone else, not just anyone, but an old girlfriend from high school. Apparently, they'd reconnected on social media, and he'd been sneaking around with her for who knows how long. My mother-in-law had found out, and that's why she was helping me. She couldn't stand the thought of her grandchildren suffering because of her son's selfishness. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was in a nightmare, but I had to focus on my kids. I started looking for a job, any job, just to get some independence back. I found a part-time position at a local grocery store. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my husband came back. He said he'd made a huge mistake, that he missed us and wanted to come home. He looked so sincere, so remorseful. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But then I remembered the money, the other woman, and everything else. I told him he could see the kids, but that we were done. He got angry, said I was making a mistake, that he'd changed. But I stood my ground. I was done being manipulated and lied to. He left again, and this time, I felt a strange sense of relief. I've been working at the grocery store for a week now. It's hard balancing work and the kids, but my mother-in-law has been helping out. She's been watching them while I'm at work, and it's been a huge help. I never would have expected this from her, but I'm grateful. I still can't shake the feeling that I'm missing something, though. Like there's another shoe waiting to drop. But for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time, trying to build a better life for me and my kids. Thanks for reading. My neighbor brags about hitting his kid at a party. So I show the evidence to the pastor. But he twists the story and turns the church against me. So I leak the truth to the media and watch his world. Crumble, last week I attended a function with a coworker. One of the function organizers was giving a speech about unity and teamwork. Let's call him Andy. Andy has an 8-year-old son and a 4-year-old son. During his speech, he mentioned that his son, 8 years old male, stepped on his toes by accident while wearing his new shoes, and so his dad, Andy, hit him. I was taken aback by this casual public statement that he used to describe relatable, frustrating situations. He then added that he went to his son's room later on and apologized. This was highly triggering for me. All I could do was sink into my seat and stop talking. It brought back memories of how my parents used to physically hit me under the guise of frustration. I have a speech stutter because of it, and I deal with that issue even to this day. Unfortunately, Andy has a history of being disrespectful to his family. When we all went on a cruise organized function, his wife was carrying all the heavy boxes to load them into the yacht. The women were helping her lift and load the snacks and organize the food, all while her husband Andy was making small talk with the other guys attending. He made a joke about his wife and how he wished he could bury her under the floorboards because she frustrates him so much. I was shocked at how casually a person can say such things. I have lost all respect that I thought I had for him. Every function, whenever he gives a lecture, he talks about how he must improve as a person and how he should stop being mean to his wife and kids. He mentioned that his kid told him that he hated him. If I were a parent, I'd take that seriously. It is plainly obvious that this household is dysfunctional. The dad comes and goes in his own car while the mom handles the kids. The parents don't talk to each other, and the kids are not allowed to play video games or even go outside their flat. No one plays with them or hangs out with them. Kids their age don't visit, and they have no friends. The 8-year-old that was hit is a withdrawn kid, and I can seriously see his future battling some sort of mental illness if his life continues the way it is. Andy is a despicable person in my eyes. How do I help this kid? I told his mom what Andy had said during his speech about hitting his son for the slip-up, but I got nothing back. We all live in a country that doesn't have a CPS or any child protective service that would investigate. Am I reaching out of line for wanting to do something to help this kid? Please give me ways that I can use to help me help this kid. I live in Kuwait. Update: the mom texted me to ask me for help around the church, unpaid labor, services, and kids ministry, where her 8-year-old kid is. I gave her an answer about doing it once a month instead of 8 times a month. I also took the opportunity to ask about the kid. I asked her if the kid is okay after what happened. She defensively sent me a text downplaying it, said, pushed instead of hit. I replied that it's none of my business, but I heard about it because the pastor told the whole congregation about it. She replied by saying, nope, he's a good dad. Have a wonderful afternoon, in a passive-aggressive way, and proceeded to remove me from every church group she was an admin in. I removed myself from the rest of the groups like Setup and Teardown, Welcome, Team Child Ministry. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I don't know how you could help without Child Protective Services, CPS, or something like that, but I do side with you. I actually believe it is everyone's duty to help in situations like this. Of course, you don't know their family situations firsthand, but hitting someone, especially a child, is a criminal offense. I do believe it is proven to not help a developing brain. Quite the opposite. If you were to report them or make some kind of anonymous tip to someone who could do something about it, they would at least be on their radar. If nothing's wrong at home, then no problem. I don't understand other comments here that say you are being a busybody and that it's none of your business. Comment 2. So I just Googled it, and hitting children is unfortunately legal in Kuwait for the purpose of punishment. However, it is starting to be more frowned upon, which is why in 2015 they created the Child Help Hotline. The first step is acceptance of a problem, which it at least seems like he has acknowledged. Honestly, you might just have to talk to him about what he is saying. Also, being hit once or twice isn't what makes a kid withdrawn. It's consistent abuse. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So after that whole mess with Andy and his family, Things just spiraled. I thought I was done with it, but life had other plans. The mom, let's call her Beth. She's been acting weird ever since I brought up her kid. It's like she's walking on eggshells around me, and I can't shake the feeling that she's hiding something big. Then, out of the blue, Beth's sister, who I'll call Sarah, corners me after a service. She's all hush-hush, telling me that Beth's been having a rough time at home. Apparently, Andy's been worse than usual, and it's not just the kids feeling the brunt of it. Sarah's worried sick, but doesn't know what to do. She's scared of Andy, and with no real help around, who can blame her? I'm fuming at this point, thinking about how this guy's just getting away with it all. But Sarah drops a bomb. She's got proof. She's been secretly recording Andy's outbursts on her phone. My gut's telling me to take that evidence and confront Andy, make him face up to what he's doing. But Sarah's begging me not to, says it'll just make things worse. I'm torn, right? I want to help, but I don't want to step on toes or make things harder for Beth and the kids. So I make a call. I decide to talk to the pastor about it, thinking he'll know what to do. I show him the recordings, and he's just as shocked as I am. He promises to handle it, to talk to Andy privately and sort things out. But here's where it all goes sideways. The pastor talks to Andy, and Andy flips the script. He goes on this tirade about how his family's being targeted, how people are out to get him. He's got this way of twisting words, making himself out to be the victim. And the worst part, people believe him. They're buying his sob story about how he's just a stressed dad trying to do his best. Next thing I know, I'm the bad guy. Andy's turned the congregation against me, saying I'm spreading lies and trying to tear his family apart. Beth won't even look at me, and Sarah's nowhere to be found. I'm outcasted just like that. And then, as if things couldn't get any messier, Beth's suddenly in the hospital. Word is, she had a fall at home. But we all know that's code for something Andy did. The kids are with relatives, and everyone's whispering about what really happened. But no one's doing anything about it. It's like they're all waiting for someone else to step up. I'm at my wit's end. I want to help, but everything I do just backfires. I'm starting to think maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut. Let Sarah handle it her way. But it's too late for regrets now. I've made my bed, and now I've got to lie in it. Thanks for hearing me out. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.